is now the Middle Tennessee District Fair started life as the Lawrence County Fair in Leona. That was back in 1911. It was produced by a showman at the time, Dr. E.R. Brawley. And his thing was doing live acts and things of that nature. And he began the fair and grew it in the teens and in the early 20s. Through some means, he associated with the Lawrence County Cattlemen's Association, and I think 4-H was starting at that time, so it became the Lawrence County Fair. It moved several times. By the 1930s and 1940s, it had moved up to what's now known as Rotary Park. At that time, it was called Fairview Park.
Well, the thing that impressed me most was the trapeze people. That was amazing. How they would swing and flip and catch one another, you know. Had a lot of dog shows over there too. That never did impress me too much. Dog shows didn't.
It was great. It was a great marketing tool or advertising tool or whatever you want to call it. They would run 2 shows of the free acts every day. The first one would be in the 3:30 time frame, and the purpose of that got people here as soon as school got out. Get them on the grounds. Get them on the grounds. They're going to have to eat supper here. They're going to have more time to play. So there would be an early showing of the free acts, the organ playing. You'd have the clowns. You'd have the clowns coming out of the car. You'd have the trapeze acts. The organ music was always a big part of that because when you heard it again, sort of like the smell of the sawdust earlier, it was something you remember. They would do horse tricks. People standing up, riding the horses with multiples of those around there, shooting people out of a cannon. You know, we've done that recently with the fair, and that was all exciting. But that's been going on for a long time. You know, it just came back around.
Princess White Cloud was the lady who played the organ for the free acts when Dr. Brawley owned the fair and years thereafter. And she was the one that made the drama music when they were high on the trapeze or when the clown was being silly. And I had heard stories and stories about this lady and knew that she was some kind of Indian princess. Every free act had something dangerous in it that, you know, made you ooh and ah at, and she could hit those keys as the story was told and play that music that made you feel like you were part of it.
Free acts were always something that everybody looked forward to. You got in the fair and it was free. The name was right there. It was a free act.
It's kind of an evolutionary thing, and in the case of the free acts, people just got away from it. I think probably what killed the free acts was television, because you could see what you were seeing at the free acts, you could see on television.
We're, you know, a district fair. We're not just a county fair, so we're not limited to just county people entering. And we have people that come from surrounding counties in North Alabama and enter their handmade stuff and their canned goods. So we're very blessed with that.
Of course, the fair, when it began, was an agricultural fair. And of course, when it began, Lawrenceburg was completely agricultural. It continued those roots through the years, even as we became more industrialized when Murray came in and the other things. So livestock has always been a piece of it. And we consider that the core of our fair. Now, it's not the most heavily attended by any means, but it is the core of the fair. We are an agricultural fair. That is what we concentrate on.
The fair is about rides, of course, but it's also about the food. It's about the farmers getting to show off what they do, getting to show off the cows, and letting the kids bring the cows up to the barn, let them be the ones to show their calves or show their goats or bring chickens in on early. And, you know, I was a city boy. I didn't know much about cattle and cows and stuff, so it was interesting for me to go see them and let them talk about how much hay they ate and all the things you could learn from them.
My dad worked in the rescue squad booth, and I got to come to the fair every night, but I had a curfew that I had to be at that corner booth at 9 o'clock to go back home. And as long as I was there, I get to come into the fair. So I was lucky when I got to come every night, you know, and walk around and see all the people. That was when we brought out our first fall clothes of the season, because it got cool enough that you could wear your new sweaters and all that for school. So it was neat.
Hey, hey, good looking, what you got cooking?
We had all kind of rides up there, Ferris wheels and merry-go-rounds and little kiddie cars for the kids. Oh, I remember coming here when I was just a small boy, and it was thrilling. Yeah, we lived on a farm down there. We would pick cotton, get our first bale of cotton out and carry it off, and then we'd come to the fair. That was thrilling. Yeah, we go for the rides.
Rides, I never was a big rider. I like to watch, but I didn't ride. Like I said, I'm more of a people watcher, and I've watched the crowds change year after year after year, and it's so neat.
I grew up about 2.5 blocks down the road. So every night I went to bed, I could hear it because it was usually fall. The windows were cracked open, and I could hear the fair if I wasn't up here till the end of it. Had the opportunity of my family and my aunt and uncle owning or having the rights to run one of the permanent food booths down here, and we always opened up the fair. And I was a kid and thought I was working, but of course I was probably in the way, but I thought I was working. And we would always make sure we were on the grounds and our fair booth was open. At that time, on Saturday night, when the carnival came in to set up to have the first day of the fair being a Sunday, which was a preview day, because everything wouldn't be set up, but they would let you come in, and if there were rides up, you could ride the rides at that point. But it was more of a preview day. It didn't really get kicked off till Monday. I recall seeing our exhibit halls or buildings at the time. They would be in tents. And I can remember my brother and myself slipping into the tent and getting the little pads of the entries where you could sign up to win things. And Willis Studio, I believe, was who it was at the time. Birdsong was later, but Willis Studio, and they would give away a little Kodak camera. And we would just fill our name out on 100 of them and shove them in the box, try to win. And I remember my brother winning a camera at one time by stuffing the box. We don't have as many sideshows today as we have in the past. A couple of years ago, we did bring some of those back, but you know, it was the two-headed person or the half snake, half woman, or the the bearded lady. We had those all the time.
I had this great big lady, called her the fat lady. She was fat lady, big lady. I guess she weighed 400 or 500 pounds. Then they'd have a smallest man, they'd pay to go see him. He's little bitty.
Always had booths when I was younger of somebody that would tell your fortune teller. Again, now something you don't see as much, but you always had one of those that would come in with a fair.